Yeah.
The second question, how to manage a sort of sufferance that came from practice? I mean, with practice, you begin to perceive the thing about life, normal life, as intoxicating. And you stop to enjoying them, and you begin to keep distance from these things. This brings to misunderstandings and sufferings, and sometimes a sense of solitude and isolation because of this. How can you manage this situation? Is it a problem of right effort? Is it a problem of attachment to practice? Or it is a problem of attachment to relations and habits to which are used? Please give an advice to how to change. Thank you.
The Buddha has many verses in the Dhammapada telling us that we should be happy. The problem only arises with our relationship to what makes us happy. When we have a happy experience, we want to try and have it again. So this creates disappointment when you don't have it. If we become dependent on another person for our happiness, then it produces a certain tension because the other person can't make us happy. Our whole psychology, based upon the delusion of self, creates this idea that the more we can get, the more happy we will be. Because underneath everything, there is a fear, there's an anxiety. And this becomes obvious when we have a fear of a serious illness, or we're going to die, or when we're afraid that somebody we love will leave us. So this insecurity makes us try to hold on to things. We collect money and people and popularity, which makes us feel more safe and makes us feel happy. So as we begin to practice and get in touch with those fears and let them arise and pass away, the less we will want, you see, the less we need other people psychologically to make us happy. You understand? No?
Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, sure.
A bit long.
Excuse me. I'll shorten it.
Thank you.
When we're practicing and we are seeing these three characteristics, okay, how we create suffering through wrong desire, and how everything is impermanent and nothing repeats itself, and that this idea of me is creating barriers.
E questa idea di me crea delle barriere.
So when we begin to see that clearly, then our relationship to the world we're living in becomes easier. So eventually, the world we live in creates for us a pleasant, happy mental state because it's based on an equanimity. As we become more calm, more equanimous, all those fears, you see, begin to die away. In the Mahayana, they say that samsara is nibbana. So samsara is the world of suffering, the world of constant rebirth. But when you take the suffering out, there is still the rebirth. There is still the same life that you're living. Nothing outwardly changes. So the Buddha himself says of himself that he lives contented and happily. The Buddha says of himself that he lives contented and happily. So as we practice, there's only three things that we lose. That is the attachment to things. So remember, attachment means you are psychologically dependent on something or somebody to make you happy, and we are at ease with the fact that everything changes and nothing repeats itself. So if the meditation is making us unhappy, then there's something wrong. We're not doing something. And it's usually because we're not connecting in the right way. And the right way is through the virtues of generosity, love, compassion, and joy.
Gioia.
And joy, yeah. And an ability to forgive. So when we practice those with Vipassana, then our life should be more lighter, should be lighter.
Più leggera, scusate.
Lighter, yeah. Does that make sense?